I'm back. It doesn't get better than this. Morning everybody, and fantastic to see you all again from my camper van of all places. I'm finally out on the road, and luckily I've got a driver, my wife, who's brought me because I can't drive yet, but I've managed to get here and I'm hoping to shoot some heather later. And I have also got this new toy, an Anker 757 power bank. And Anker is sponsoring this week's video, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. As you can see, I'm already charging my watch, phone and a camera battery that I forgot to charge, so it's already being useful. But yeah, this video is all going to be about photographing the amazing heather in the Peak District. And I've got an amazing day, but it's probably not the best conditions. It's too nice really. It's perfect blue sky, but it's going to be the first time I get out doing some photography, so I'm going to love it. It's going to be so fantastic. Well, I say first time. I was actually out in the woodland a week and a bit ago, and it didn't go too well. I sort of went out too early really, and I thought I could do something when I couldn't with my back. So before I go and find the first composition, I'll show you that and a photo that I took. Just a couple of minutes of footage, and then we'll come back and I'll talk a little bit about this Anker power bank because it's pretty amazing, and I'll also go and take some amazing heather shots. But first, my cup of tea and my chunky Kit Kat. Well, morning everybody. I am finally, with Pebbles, as you probably just saw then, back in my local woodlands with a camera, and I can't tell you how amazing this is. And just to add the cherry on top, it's a little bit foggy, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to get a few images as well. I want to tell you just how special it is to get back into photography, and why in a way it's probably good to have a break. We're going to have a look around here. It's rained overnight, there's a little bit of mist, and this is going to be amazing. Come on Pebs, come on Pebbles. I've sort of been dreaming about this moment for the last 3 months, of just being able to get back out and take some photos. I'm a bit overwhelmed now because everything looks beautiful. I've not seen ferns. When I went into hospital, the leaves were just coming out on the trees, and although I have been walking down my lane, so I've seen the change a little bit, I've not really been anywhere where there's been ferns, so this is just amazing. And I've got ferns and silver birch and oak and beech here. So yeah, it's really amazing. So I'm just going to be a little bit careful not just to snap everything, because I think I'll probably end up with just like a lot of average shots, and just try and take it in a little bit, take my time. Although I can't take too much time because I can't stand up for too long either. But yeah, just going to walk a little bit further down here and see what I can find. This is brilliant. I think I've come to the limit of my back, unfortunately. I flew my drone and then my back started hurting, and I just need to do the sensible thing really and not carry on. So to be continued. For you, it'll be a few seconds. For me, it might be a few more weeks, I think, before I get back out. I've now realised that I don't think I can quite, take long enough to find a composition and just take the time that's required, which is so sad, to do my photography. But I will be back out in a beautiful woodland like this. It's sort of cruel really that I'm around this beauty on a beautiful day like this and I just can't take the photos, but I've just got to go back to the car now because I've got to do the sensible thing, unfortunately. Right, I think I've got everything. It's been a while since I've done a video outside, and we're going to head over there, which isn't very far away. You can see it is super blue sky, And I'm just going to have a little bit of a look around. We've probably got about 3.5 hours before sunset, and then I'm going to chill out a little bit. But I think there'll be a few things to take. The heather looks particularly amazing. So I'm going to just check out, see if I can find some rocks that are looking prominent, maybe with a little bit of heather around them, and concentrate on the foreground. Right. And I have a Sherpa this time, my wife, who will not be appearing on camera. Oh, this is beautiful. It's so nice. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to deal with the sky yet, but just the grasses, the purple heather just look fantastic together. So it's just a question of finding either some rock formation or grass and heather combination that just looks really nice for a foreground, and then we've got the background rocks. So I'm going to have a walk, see what I can find. This is beautiful, so beautiful. Okay, I really like these grasses. We're just about to walk up to the heather and the rocks, and it is going to be difficult this evening with the blue sky, but there's a style here which adds a little bit of shape, something to the shot. So I really like that style. We've got the nice grasses. So I've just taken a shot quite low down here to make the blue sky part of the composition, to give it something in the composition. And there's a plane going overhead there. It's a beautiful evening. Let's have a look at this and then pop off up the hill. So I think the idea of this is fairly good, but I think I probably got a little bit carried away that I just saw this light on the grasses and hadn't taken a photo for so long, so I just wanted to take a photo. The big problem with it is I don't think the sky is too much of a problem. I like the gate going up. There's just an element on the right hand side of the gate where it interferes with the gate behind it and it looks a bit messy. And then also I think because the grasses in the foreground are randomly catching the light, they're not a strong enough element in the composition for the image to work, and sort of, you know, it's just not strong enough basically. It was a good starter, but yeah, I'd give it a 4 out of 10. Okay, so one of the things that I'm trying to do when we've got amazing light, which we have got, you know, there's no clouds, the sun's going to drop down, that's really exciting, is use that light to my advantage. So try and get it sort of, you know, creating some nice shapes in the rocks or the grasses or whatever. So you can see down this path here that the light is creating a bit of a shadow and it's creating a nice line down the path because it's coming in at a little bit of an angle. What I've got to be careful of is the sky and just how I use the sky. So I've just got to look around, try and use those patterns the most, and just be a little bit careful about the sky. The other thing is that pretty much every rock is occupied by a person, because it's one of those nights that's just so beautiful that we rarely get in the UK. So I've just got to hope that I can find a rock that doesn't have a person on it. Let's go. Okay, so I've got to the first sort of section of rocks here, and they're quite a nice sort of set of rocks. We've got this little rock with a little bit of heather on here, which is nice. There's a nice path leading through the middle here, and they've got the rocks in the foreground. So the foreground bit of it works quite well, I think. I'm going to go a little bit tighter than you can see now, so I don't get this path coming in, because I think that's a bit distracting. I just like this diagonal. But the problem is all this up here, the sky, it sort of draws your eye. It's quite distracting. It would look so much better if there was some darker sky, which would then show up the light on the rocks in the distance, because those rocks in the distance just disappear. So it's not bad. It's a good start for 10. And yeah. I'm going to take this. Probably it's going to be about a 30mm shot, something like that. So I'll take this, I'll show it you, we'll go on and see what else we can find. But it's a glorious evening, which is the main thing. And I'm out. Yay! I actually think the boy adds to the composition in this case. I think the fact he's looking out beyond, you don't know what's beyond these rocks, is good. It's part of the story. The path works really well going diagonally through, and your eye sort of jumps from the heathers up to the rocks. And because it's not like a flat horizon at the top, the blue sky works quite well. So I think there's a few things that maybe I would change. Maybe I'd have included a little bit more on the right hand side, but it would have been nice around this area to have no people, and I would have been able to go a little bit higher, make the rocks a bigger part of the composition. But trust me, there was so many people on this day and they were all playing on the rocks, which was fantastic to see, but it wasn't great for doing photography. Okay, so I found this little bit of rock here. The light's just hitting it really nicely, and there's a nice sort of line that goes through to the grasses, and there's quite a nice lot of layers. And because the sun's at sort of 90 degrees to where I'm shooting, we've got a really nice succession of layers going through the scene. So you can see this is the line here going through onto the rock, and then I've got two other sort of layers within the scene. It's really, really nice. So I'm going to take this. It's probably a 7 out of 10, something like that, and then see what else we can find. Okay, so in this photo, there's quite a lot going on. So I've got these rocks here, which are quite interesting with a little bit of heather on. I've got the distant rocks with the heather just catching the side light. I've got this rock here. We've got the rock over there, some rocks over there, and then the foreground heather. So I've done it, you can see it in a landscape shot, but I've done it in a portrait shot because I feel like that rock is slightly distracting. And quite often with things like this, there's so much to include. It's what you don't include that makes the photo. So I feel like this sort of line through between the heather, then the rock, and then the heather, and then the rock, all the way through to the rock and the heather in the distance is quite nice. And even though the sky's quite blue, there's such a tiny amount of it, it looks really good. These next set of images are probably some of my favourite. I think this worked really well from a layering effect of the heather, where you see the heather in the foreground, you get an idea of the structure of it and the actual flower itself, and then that sort of reflects through the image to the distant sort of heather field. So I really like that. I really like the rock in this first image that sort of anchors the bottom of it. Obviously the issue is the sky, and the sky just sort of lets these images down a little bit, and that's why I've just included it, just a tiny band at the top. Found another really good shot here actually, and it's all about the light. It's about where the light is and the light isn't, and the light's on these grasses at the moment and it looks really nice. It's also on those rocks, so we've got the grasses jumping your eye to the rocks, and then just into the distance, the rocks in the distance, and it's so nice. I really like it. It's quite a simple scene. The other thing that's quite good is that these big rocks here, which I'm with my wife, she doesn't like the big rocks. But I think the big rocks help because they balance the sky a little bit, because the sky is obviously quite dominant, it's quite a blue area, and this is quite dominant at the bottom, and it almost creates a sort of a sandwich. So yeah, it's worked out quite well. Just got to be a little bit careful of any distracting elements, but I think I've got those right. Wow, what an evening. Well, that was so amazing to be out. I really had a fantastic time. I don't think I got any great photos, to be honest, and sometimes photography is just really difficult. But everyone here was just having such a good time. There's loads and loads of people out. There's a photography club over there. Nobody recognised me. I was slightly disappointed about that. And there's some groups of children everywhere just playing. It's just fantastic. Everyone's enjoying the outdoors, and I really like the process of photography as much as the result. And sometimes, and especially when you've not been out for 3 months, it is fantastic to get out. Anyway, go back and have a look at the photos, charge my camera up, and I'll get back out in the morning. Okay, I'm back in my camper van now, which sounds amazing to say to start with. And as you can see, I am charging things up. So I want to talk about this Anker 757 power bank. Anker is sponsoring this week's video, but this power bank is unbelievable and will revolutionize just how I can do things in my camper van. But it's not only great for a camper van, but it's also good just if you go and do photography, because often you go out and you want to come back during the day into your car and recharge things. And as you can see here, there's a screen, you can see all the information, and I've got lots of things plugged in, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. But the main thing about this power bank is it's got what's called premium LFP batteries, and that means it holds its capacity over multiple charges. So I think you can have 3,000 charges and it'll keep in a healthy state. So that's like really important, I think, when you're charging it. We all know when we charge our iPhone batteries after a little bit, you know, they're only holding like 70 or 80% of their charge. But the main thing with this is it's got lots of things that you can plug into it. It's got 1500 watts. There are smaller versions available as well, so Anker tell me. I've got 2 plug sockets here, so like normal UK plug sockets. I've got an extension in, which I've also then got plugged into other things. So I'm charging my drone battery, I'm charging my phone, I'm charging my watch. And then also there's a USB-C cable. In fact, there's 2 USB-C cables, and they give out 100 watts of power. So I can power my laptop and charge my laptop, and I can charge all these things at the same time. It really is fantastic, and it only takes about an hour to charge to 80% capacity. You can also connect solar panels to it, which is what I did in the garden. I charge it with the solar panels, and so whenever I go home, I charge it with solar panels. It almost feels like free energy, which is fantastic. So if you're interested in any of Anker's products, and specifically this or any of the smaller versions, there's a link in the description below. Go and take a look. I can thoroughly recommend them. It's really going to be a big life changer for me for all the things I have to charge. Right, back looking to these photos. You've seen them, they're looking okay. So I don't know what you think of them so far. Let me know in the comments below. I'm gonna get up in the morning, you're gonna see that, and see hopefully if I get something just a little bit different.
Oh, morning everybody. Well, this is what I haven't missed about landscape photography, getting up at 5 AM, but it's a beautiful, beautiful morning. There's a little bit of mist in the valley over there. I don't think we'll get that in the photos. I'm going to shoot the trees here and all the heather. And yeah, this is a classic place to come in the Peak District. You don't have to walk very far, which is good. My back's not too bad from yesterday, which is good news. Let's go and see what we can find. The clouds are really nice, so you can see probably just behind me a little bit of a pink hue, which I quite like, but it's still very difficult because even though we've got this beautiful blanket of purple on the ground, it's just trying to find something that's not where the purple and the trees and the sky come together as one. So I think it's probably going to be a little bit better when the sun comes out and catches the top of the heather, and then I get a longer lens probably and shoot through into the trees where I just exclude the sky completely. So even though it looks nice, this sky, unless there's a lone tree on the horizon, I don't think it's going to quite work for a shot. But it's beautiful, it's nice to look at. Sometimes you just got to look at things. So I'm just going to keep going down here and see what I can see. Okay, quickly, I'll just take this because I did quite like the clouds in the background, and this path's just a nice leading line through the scene. There's a bit of an ugly thistle here. Obviously I can't dig it up, so I think that might be something I might have to just do in Photoshop. But these 2 trees look reasonably okay. It's quite a nice starter. The fence at the end looks quite nice with the style as well. So I've just got this shot in here. Yeah, I'll just keep going and see what else I can find. Oh, it's nice to be out again. Well, I'm back. I've got my apple. An amazing scene, beautiful morning. It doesn't get better than this. It really doesn't. And yeah, the photography might a little bit, but actually we've got a little bit of sun coming on the mountains in the background. Say mountains, hills. The cloud it's a bit wispy, high cloud. So it's difficult because there's nothing to anchor the scene at the top. But there's a nice little line here of this beautiful grass. And what I've been trying to look for is simple foregrounds, because with the heather it can get a bit complicated sometimes. So I've got this rock sort of balancing this leading line of the path here. I might go a little bit lower as well. I try not to go too low too much, because getting down is difficult with my dodgy knee and back. But I might try and get this rock above the horizon, so I'll try that. I've got the rock, the path, the nice light in the distance, and yeah, time to have my apple.
So when you're taking shots with flat sky like this, the best thing to do is have something that goes into the sky. So either a really nice mountain range that's not just flat like this one in the Peak District, or some rocks that are going into the sky. And that's the mistake I've made, really. I should have probably tried to get lower. My back sort of stopped me doing that, so I couldn't do it. But I think having the rocks peeking into the sky can just help it a little bit and break up that monotony of the sky. Obviously, if we had a dramatic sky, or in the case of this image, if I'd have come at sunset, that would have been better, because I'd have been shooting into the sun, and I would have then had backlit grasses and more to play with the sun, because if you're shooting into the sun, you can do a little bit more with the image.
Okay, the sun has come out now, and I was just taking this shot here, and I flew my drone, and then I thought the sun might hit these heathers. I wasn't sure, but it has done. I can show you the shot with and without the sun on the heathers. I think it's really, really nice. It just catches the top of them, which I feel like works really well, leading your eye through the scene. But there's shots everywhere at the moment. It's just nice where the sun's just coming up. What isn't nice, by the way, I've focus stacked this as well, so I've taken 2 or 3 shots, and I'm just going to stack them in Photoshop. There'll be a link here to a video where you can do that if you're interested. But what's really nice is the light. What's not so nice is these pesky midges. I've not missed those. Right, I think that's it. Take this and then head back for a coffee and breakfast. So I hope you've enjoyed that. My first video back in the field for actually 4 months, I think. And yeah, it's great to be out again. Make sure you check out Anker, link in the description below. And yeah, I think I'll go home and print some of these photos now, because I've missed printing as well. Okay, thanks ever so much for watching. Until next Sunday, bye.